Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I am your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where I review movies and TV shows, including all your favorite superheroes from Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Great Talking Entertainment official channel, only on YouTube. Now, this is going to be my spoiler review for the new Sony / Marvel film, Madam Web. So if you have not seen this show, or seen the movie yet, I should say apologize. Pause this, give me a thumbs up, go watch the movie, or if you're still not sure, check out episode 3 of the Munchie Hour, where I do a non-spoiler review for the Madam Web. Check it out, and then go see the movie. But before you all do that, again, please hit thumbs up on any of my videos. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share with your friends and family, or just people who are interested in Marvel, DC, Star Wars, movie reviews, TV show reviews, people who just want to nerd out or hear people nerd out. So definitely do that for me. So again, y'all been warned. This is a spoiler review. Let's get into it. The movie Madam Web is a superhero / drama / action / psychological thriller that took a leap of faith with the direction it took with in this film. Now, this definitely has that girl power team format with this movie. And you have actress as Dakota Johnson, who plays Madam Web. Sydney Sweeney, who plays Julia Carpenter. Isabella Merced plays Anna Corzon. And of course, last but not least, Celeste O'Connor, who plays Maddie Franklin. And obviously, we have other actors and actresses, but the two actors I want to put out is Tahara Rahim. I hope I said his name right. He plays Ezekiel. Adam Scott, who plays Ben Parker. And the final one that I want to bring up by actress Emma Roberts, who plays Mary Parker. And these are the main cast and actresses and actors that you see throughout this film. And they obviously play a big part of the Spider-Man franchise in many important ways. And, you know, it's really cool. And I want to say, before I get any further, I really think all the cast members did an excellent job as performing. Even through, like, the most, what I would assume that it was kind of cringeworthy dialogue. But I feel like they still knocked it out the park. I feel like they made it feel uncringy as best as they could, and I didn't realize it until I went back and saw it again. But the first time, I didn't notice any cringy dialogue. So I just want to say that before I go any further. So the film starts off with a flashback when Cassie's mother was in the Amazon jungle in the year 1973, and she discovers the spider that is from the main spider who bit Spider-Man, Peter Parker. And this is a spider that introduced a tribe who protects these particular spiders that people have been looking for years because of its venomous like toxin or potent. It'd be the thing that they would use, those spiders would use as like self-defense if being attacked by a they're the prey, or somebody's preying on them, like attack other animals basically. And obviously that's what that venomous thing is for. But again, this is the stuff that makes Spider-Man and gives him all his abilities and webs. Oh, well, not webs, unless you're Tobey Maguire, obviously, but I mean, as far as climbing walls, Spidey senses, the super strength, all that agility. And, what I thought was very interesting is this tribe did wear, like, they body painted their whole bodies and has some type of I don't know what it was. It looked like a cage or maybe armor that was black, but it had the same type of black like web designs in the Spider-Man outfit, and I thought that was very interesting. But it made me question, like, not well. Like, made me think, like, maybe that when that spider bit Peter Parker and he became Spider-Man, maybe that DNA of that spider had old memories from that tribe, and maybe that and put it in Peter Parker's DNA, so he would naturally want to design a costume suit like it is with the classic red, but with the black webs and blue, obviously. But that's just one theory I just wanted to point out. Now, again, as back to this film, she finds the spider and she hired a bodyguard who we find out is Ezekiel, and he turns on her basically because he actually wants this to for his people to make profit, and he owes money to some bad people. And obviously got really hectic and he ends up shooting Madam Web's mom. Now remember, Madam Web's mom was pregnant, so she was carrying Cassie Webb in her womb while she was looking for this. And so this tribe that's like the Spider-Man tribe, that's what I'll just call it, the Spider-Man tribe, they took her in and saved her and put her in this cave where there's like a like a lake or a pool of water, which they were just pretty much baptizing her, and they allowed this one particular spider to bite her to give her like Spider-Man powers. And what it did was it actually saved the baby's life, which is Cassie Webb, which we found out that she had a life-threatening disease. But thanks to that Spider-Man or the spider bite from that particular spider and its abilities healed her. But the mom obviously did not make it. And then we learn, and this takes place in New York in 2003. And, so everything in New York, everything in this era is very 2003. Like, you see Beyonce's, I want to say Beyonce's first solo album, I believe. And then you hear, like, Britney Spears' Toxin. You're a toxin. I forget how the other words go. But it has that. And then, the outfits, the talk, how the teenagers or young adults acted in 2003. So it was they got that down to a T, and I thought that was really cool, and I thought it was perfect, and it did look like 2003. And as far as the buildings, the background, the way they use lighting, it just felt like a 2003 movie, and I think that was a cool trick to do that. So, A+ for that. I like that. Now, Ezekiel gets these visions, and it's obviously the three other Spider Women who, in the future, take down Ezekiel, and I think they murder him. I'm not sure. They probably just take, but usually Spider-Man people don't kill. Not all of them, but I'm not going to say they killed Ezekiel, but he thinks they're trying to kill him, basically. But I believe that they were just going to take him down and have him arrested or lock him up in another, dimension, because this is Madam Web. So it's one of those things, but he's been seeing and he recognizes it. So he has a woman who can hack in like governmental stuff, and he finds the three women who are teenagers at the moment. And Madam Web is having that same exact vision, but she's also seeing how Ezekiel murders the other Spider Women, and it's her duty is to try to save them. And now in this film, they portray Madam Web a single woman who's not the particular traditional woman who wants to be in a relationship, She's somebody who probably she's somebody who doesn't want kids. She's not into having a family. But we see her go to these baby showers from uh, Aunt May, who would be Aunt May, and we see Ben Parker, and they have this, and the Aunt May, which is Mary Parker, and again, I want to point out they kind of made it confusing if that Mary Parker was actually Aunt May, or or is that just like a different character? I wasn't sure, but the way it was, because in the baby shower before Madam Web had like a vision of the future, it cut out where she revealed the name of the baby, which they found out it's a boy. So, but the way they cut it, it sounds like it was going to be obviously Peter Parker, and so I'm not sure. I which I'll bring that up later in one of the discussions. But so now this is a woman who, again, doesn't want kids, not interested in having a family. She doesn't really know what to do with her life. She likes everything she is, and at some point she seems she doesn't like kids, but she hangs out with a group of people who have that family thing. And there's a part where the actor Mike Epps plays a fireman, but he gets hurt. She sees a vision, and he gets in the truck, and a car hits him, and he doesn't make it. And it was very confusing, but I thought it was still kind of smoothed out. It made it somewhat. I was trying to figure out, but I did start understanding later on in the film. But I wish in like these type of scenes where she thinks she's saving one, but then she's saving another, that I wish they would smooth that part out to make it easier for people to understand when she's having her visions of the future. Because they could get the hint that it was going to be somebody close. But in that scene, we see her, grieve and cry because that fireman didn't make it. But now, speed it up a little bit. Now she's trying to protect three teenagers who don't know each other. They're trying to trust her. And you got this guy, Ezekiel, who's like the evil Spider-Man. And he just knows where they're at because obviously he has somebody hacked into every system, like the government system, because he's got access to government technology. And, they did everything they could. And what I thought was interesting is that what I learned is this character doesn't really wear a Spider-Man suit in the comic books. But in this film, it did. Now, I actually like this Spider-Man suit that Ezekiel rocks. And I would like to see more of that particular character, maybe in comic books, newer comic books, basically, or maybe in another film, which we'll get to why I think he may or may not be dead. So, but again, I told you guys this is a spoiler review. Now, we get so many different ways of how this film started going. Now, they were trying to prevent something that was predestined to happen and fix the way. So we see Madam Web go to the Amazon jungle where her mother passed away, and she meets the guy who was in the Spider-Man tribe. And he explained why, and she learned. And they even did like that Doctor Strange thing where the Chosen One or Doctor Strange can push you literally out of your body, out of your soul type thing, and you go on this crazy trip. They did it in Doctor Strange 1. That's the one. But what I thought was really cool is the thing how they did that, because this could kind of connect to the MCU if they choose to. But what I'm trying to say is I thought that was very neat. But whatever it did, she saw, and she got to talk to her mom. And I thought that was really cool. Like, we saw in this film, we saw this character find closure. So in this Madam Web, this is her origin story, but we seen her find closures to close a chapter in her life. But this helps her become stronger. This helps her make her become more heroic. She's starting to care about these three women or girls at the time, but we know they become women and Spider Women. And we see her get planned, and she saves them, and we get this wild car chase. And obviously, she went from taxi driver vehicle to an ambulance, and they had this big battle in a firework building, and that was so. I'm just gonna say that's very comic book superhero story. Like that is very comic book. There's always a comic book where somebody's fighting the bad guy in a building with fireworks, and this is where she becomes blind because she gets knocked down. And I want to believe, I remember, she fell in the water again, where New York is at, and her abilities blinded her. But she saw everything. She foreseen everything and stopped Ezekiel and helped those girls defeat him. Of course, winning always comes at a sacrifice. As Cassie defeats Ezekiel, she is crushed and loses her eyesight and the ability to walk. Was likely the outcome of the film, making a true origin story to Madam Web. Now, this is pretty much like how in the comic books are. And she's blind and paralyzed, and at the end of this film, and you see her in a wheelchair with not the same glasses, but glasses that kind of resembles what she kind of wears in the comic books. It's a little different. They kind of, I'm not trying to be funny, but they kind of remind me of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, but it just reminds me of the Macho Man Randy Savage glasses. That's where I got of it. But I thought it was a really good movie. So let's talk about some of the topics before I give it my final score. Now, let me tell you why I actually like this film. I like this film for many reasons. The first one is I don't think it was a bad movie. I think it was a good movie. I don't think the story was that bad. And I know everybody is very harsh on it. Like, I saw the score on Rotten Tomato. I've seen other people review this. But I don't think it's bad as what people think. And the reason why is when I was watching this, and I watched this twice. And again, I don't think the plot of this whole story was bad. This is a origin story of Madam Web. And let's just get the elephant out of the room. The one thing is, yes, it's a character that's heavily connected to Spider-Man. But which Spider-Man? I don't know. But it doesn't need to be evolved around Spider-Man yet. Because this is pretty much her origin story. You saw her, what she was like before she became blind and paralyzed. You saw her before she realized that she has special power ability. Like she didn't realize that she's been living a regular life as a paramedic in New York, and she never understood, she never realized it. But now we see this whole situation gave her purpose, and in a way she became a more caring person. You know, she may be harsh on him, but she cares. And that's something that I want to say they got that part down correctly. Like, if you read any comic books about Madam Web, she is somebody who's very harsh and very blunt with the truth, but deep down inside she does care for like Spider-Man and other people. She cares about the faith of the universe. So this is an important thing. Like, this ain't her first rodeo, so we saw a younger version of her. Because everybody's like, well, Madam Web is an old lady. Okay, well, she wasn't always an old lady in the beginning. So this is her origin story. And I really appreciate it, and I thought it was a good origin story film. about Madam Web. So no, I don't think it needs to be so super heavily surrounded around Spider-Man. Okay? It didn't need like the Hobgoblin or, you know, the Green Goblin. It didn't need all that. It just needed her, and Ezekiel was a good choice to use because it's a character people are not familiar with. And obviously, the main crowd of casual viewers are not familiar with Madam Web. So, again, this is just something a film company like Sony, Marvel, Universal, Warner Brothers, etc. That's just an everyday challenge. If you're gonna make a movie about someone of a character that nobody's like the casual fan has never really heard of or paid attention to, this is a challenge. How do you introduce a character that's new to the casual movie viewers? How do you introduce them like they're a new character and also try to balance out the the die hard fans, the hardcore fans of comic books, and please them at the same time. It's it's a hard thing to balance to make a film. If making a super movie hero movie was easy, then every superhero movie would have been good from then to now. Like that's just how it is. So, as far as the plot of the whole thing, I think it was a good story. The second thing that I like about it is I thought the actors and actresses really did a very good job. I think this is like Dakota Johnson's best film as a whole. And I want to see her more. And I want to see the other actresses too, especially with the other three Spider Women. I want them to see more of them, and I hope they get their own solo film. I hope they can find a way to work a deal to put them in the MCU at some point in life. Like, I think this film really has a lot of potential. And obviously, when I bring that up, I just want to say that the four women, the actresses, they really kick some ass. I mean, they put on a hell of a performance. They brought these characters to life, like Chris Evans, Robbie Downey Jr., you know, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson. They all brought Batman to life in a way. Like I'm just saying, like these women did an excellent job, and I think they really perform well. And I hope to see more of them portray their Marvel characters. Definitely, I want to see a Madam Web too, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, think I'm crazy, but I like these are two. These are just two reasons so far. On the now my third final reason, and then I'll move on to the next topic. The third final one that I liked about this was just that is the background, the photography, the camera angles, the whole design around it based on for the 2003. It felt like a 2003 film. And I thought that was really neat just because if you 2003 films kind of had what the cameras were back then, and the latest cameras, today's cameras that they use, however they did it, they really made it feel like you're watching a 2003 movie because again, this is based in 2003 in the timeline. And I think that was really cool because any film that makes any movie or show that is based on a certain era, where there's the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, 60s. Think of like a movie like Oppenheimer. It's a new movie, but they did everything based in a certain timeline, a certain year and era, and the whole movie production, made it feel like it was that era, that year, and that's what Madam Web did. I think the whole film did really well, and I think it executed on the point of making it feel like a 2003 or early 2000s, whatever, film. And that's what's important because now I that helps people understand what year, what era, and why everybody act like this, why people talk like this, dress like this, what was the fashion about it. That was the good thing about it. Now, the three things that I didn't like about it, and this slash my my nagging points. So the first one is I think the idea of I don't know the whole taxi cab thing. Like she drove the taxi cab throughout the whole scene, like, and that had no explanation. And they made it sound like she drove the taxi cab all the way to the Amazon jungle. My second thing is when Madam Web had like these visions of foreseeing the future. I wish they smoothed it out where it made it easier for the audience to know and understand when she's having it. Maybe like having like the the spider senses, like have something around her head or like indicate that she's gonna have a flash soon. But it just kind of came out of nowhere, and you couldn't really trust the narrator of Madam Web, which is herself, because she wasn't sure if she was seeing the future or if she was in the present. But for the audience, I think I wish they smoothed it out. And then my third and final one that I didn't like about it, I think they should have made this movie a little bit longer and added more scenes to help people understand and try to make it unconfusing. Like, give us an understanding of who is Mary Parker and Ben Parker. Like, help us for the people, because I had people ask me, was this like the Aunt May? And I was like, I wasn't sure. Like, I always just assumed that Aunt May was the wife. Like, she married into this family. But they sound like they're brother and sister. So I'm not sure if Mary Parker is Aunt May. So I don't know. I know he's the brother of Peter Parker's dad. So I'd have to assume that this was Mary Parker is just the wife of, you know, of Spider-Man's dad, basically. But at one point, I thought that was Aunt May. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure because they never had the dad show in any capacity. Like, because in comic books, certain comic books, Peter Parker's parents are secret spies that once worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. So is this S.H.I.E.L.D. or not? I don't know. Uh, and that's really it on that. That's the only thing I didn't like about it, but is it just needed to make. I wish they just added more to help people understand, and not just that, but that would help. Not help the idea of like who Spider Man is this or nothing, but just uh, this would just be like a something just easy for the viewers to watch and to pick up things with throughout the movie if they're just trying to stay focused or pay attention without the film. But other those are my only three complaints. Now, I was gonna come up with a theory of which Spider-Man this is, but I really can't because I watched it twice, and it's just really hard to tell because it couldn't be. It just I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough to go where this is at. But if Peter Parker was just born while she was doing on this, it couldn't be. It couldn't be Andrew. It couldn't be Tobey Maguire. It could be Andrew Garfield's or Tom Holland's, but it's not in. But again, that's not. She's not in the MCU, so I would like to believe it's Andrew Garfield's universe of Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man, but I'm not sure, and it's probably even not. that'd be my theory of like if they had to choose one. I would say the Amazing Spider-Man as Andrew Garfield, as Andrew Garfield is the Amazing Spider-Man, I should say. But that's the one I would assume that would fit. If I just go based off of this movie, it kind of fits more. It doesn't fit Venom verse just because that takes place in the 2010s or 2012s. The way I forget. They did say a date in the first Venom film, and then in the second Venom film, it was that later that year, 3 years later, 5 years later. So it's in the upper 2000s. So it's not close to 2003. So it just couldn't be the Venomverse. But I wouldn't be surprised if they would try to attempt that either. But I just want to say I think this film, to me, deserves a second chance, and I think people in time will rewatch this on whatever streaming service or television. You know, if it's free on the free streaming service or whatever, I think people will appreciate this film and become more of a fan of it. Because this film is really a good movie. I think it's a good movie. Like, I don't think it's bad at all. I think people are just like wanting the need of Spider-Man versus versus just giving this movie a chance. But that's just, I can see many ways this goes, because I can see Madam Web getting a sequel, and I can see that I think it would do better. I think the Rotten Tomato score would be better. I think the audience will like it just because the fact that now they got her where they're at. Let's see her in her second year, as paralyzed and blind, but not like super old. Let's build that up to the third film. And I think that they could go so many ways with that. I mean, to see her ability, maybe she can, do something with the TVA, or maybe she can see what's going on in this universe where Venom's there, this Spider-Man's there, that Spider-Man's there, and this Spider-Man's over here. Maybe she has the Miles Morales, or in her universe. Maybe Miles Morales is in this one. Who knows? But I think there's so much that can happen in this. Like, I was looking back and through some old comic books, and I just remembered, like, there's a guy that she kind of has like a relationship, and I can't remember his name, but it's from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon film, and I think they could bring that character to give her a love interest and give her a reason to do more heroic things, like choose love and the whole faith of the world, something like that. But I just think there's so much more, and I think people should just give this a second chance. Like, don't dismiss Madam Web and don't give up on Sony. But I think they can pull this off. I really do. Because, again, I hate saying this, but it is a good movie. And there's a lot of potential with this story that they got. So, that's just my opinion. But, there's a lot of good things in here, and there's a lot of bad things in here. But if I just reviewed it based on the first time I saw it, I didn't notice these bad things. I didn't notice these flaws because I was just enjoying the movie itself. And it was very action-packed. There was a lot of drama, and it was a psychological thriller. And it had me on the edge of my seat, and when you think it was going to go one way, and went the complete opposite. Full surprises. And that was so enjoyable that it was just fun to watch. And I watched it, the week before my birthday, and I was with my
my mom and my sister, and they liked it. I mean, it's not a bad movie, and I think they can be so much more. So I'm hoping that Sony does not give up on the Madam Web franchise series. Like, I think this thing is good. So if I had to give it a 1 out of 10, and I'm going to be fair, I'm going to give it a 5. It's a good movie, but it could have been better. And I think, but I still think it deserves a second chance. So it does deserve at least a sequel to it and shoot for the stars for the third trilogy. But I'm giving a 5. But that's my review, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment Official Channel, only on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be connected, updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.